the advice to minimize the intake of these things or not to take them at all? No, so let me give it to Prof.
Yeah. So definitely, in nutrition, we don't say never. We say moderation.
Okay.
Moderation is the key. You have to minimize the intake of these.
Isn't moderation a relative word
it's
here?
Relative.
How do you measure moderation?
It has to be defined. So I told Dr. Apri when we're coming that moderation must be defined. So for instance, the study they said that those that consume these ultra processed foods like monthly didn't have the risk that those that consume it daily or weekly.
So when you say monthly, you say like once
a month.
It's fine.
I mean, from that cohort
from their study, they followed 500,000
people. Do you agree?
People.
Yeah, they followed 500,000 people.
Yes.
Do you agree to that study?
I will agree because when you say so monthly, it's like almost like it's occasional. It's not regular. You can't say that is regular. But people who consume these foods
on a daily basis
and also.
But isn't the concern, Prof? Isn't the concern the fact that I don't know what it is with these ultra processed foods? There's something that makes you addicted to it. So question is, you say monthly, so I can start doing monthly, which of course to you is a good measure, it's fine. But there might be some addictives or things in there that makes me addicted to it. So after 1 month, I come to 3 weeks, then I come to 2 weeks, then I come to a week, then by the time I say Jack, I'm doing it on a daily basis.
Which is what we talked about, the palatability. It's so palatable that you want to go back again.
Yeah.
Then also we already know that sugar is addictive.
Yeah.
We know oil is addictive. And we know salt is addictive.
Yeah.
So the moderation, how to keep the moderation is the problem.
So if it's a problem, why don't you suggest that we do away with it entirely?
Well, it's an open market.
I understand that it's an open market, but we're talking about health here. We're talking about these things being on our shelves that have been approved by the FDA. You understand? So if I have my money and I go to a shop and I'm looking through the shelves and to the refrigerators and I realize that, this has been approved by the FDA, why not buy it? Because I'm believing that they might have done a good job and therefore they have approved of it. And so let me go consume it.
Yeah, that's a good point to make. So you see, what happens is that FDA will do the regulation. At the end of the day, as a country, in fact, just about a year or two ago, we've come up with a food-based dietary guideline. When I say food-based dietary guideline, virtually a guideline that guides what we are eating. And if you take a classical look at any food-based dietary guideline across the world, there's always that percentage of what should be taken and what should be taken in low percentage. And so there is no advocacy for this thing should be totally off. You can't have that advocacy.
Is it for fear of the revenue losses that might come? Because people are in business. And so when you say don't take it at all, it means that you're running people out of business, isn't it?
Yes, but that's not just the fear for economic. It's not just economic reasons. We know that at moderate levels, your body can handle them.
But again, you also told me right now that in as much as the moderate levels, the body can handle it. Here we are, the addictives in there. So at one point in time, I moved from 1 month to 3 weeks, then to 2 weeks, to 1 week, and then to a daily basis.
I get it. So the point I was making was that these guidelines are supposed to be the guide. Of course, at the end of the day, we assume that the palatability is high. And so if you are not able to then check yourself, then you are going to the extreme level. But the guidelines in nutrition, we would always give it as a guideline. At the end of the day, there is no way you would be able to totally say this is banned and don't take it. It doesn't happen. Because, you see, David, 1.2 is that you don't want, when you're doing nutrition, nutrition counseling, let me put it that way. You don't want to change people's way of living. That is drastic and it's going to be difficult.
Even if it's going to be
it's not sustainable.
Fine, but even if it's detrimental to their health?
Well, so that is where then you push towards reduction. That's where you push towards reduction. And so sometimes you have what we call the substitution. Okay, so you want to take this, but we are saying it's not healthier. Is there any better substitute to go for?
We're having this conversation this morning with Dr. Apri and, of course, Professor Reginald Ajete. And we're talking about ultra-processed foods. Now, we're being told by a study that, the intake or the ingestion of ultra-processed foods is reducing the lifespan of people. Unfortunately, it's 14% for. Did I say unfortunately? Okay, interestingly, it is 14% for women and then 15% for men. You break that down for us, in a bit for us to appreciate it. But on a daily basis, Prof, we're taking these ultra-processed baked products, the biscuits. We're taking so many of these baked products on the market. On a daily basis, our children are exposed to sweetness. I mean, the toffees. Some of them, the ice creams. And then in some typical homes where they think that, well, God has blessed them financially, they want to live well and let people know that they're living well, they go for these big beans, they go for the bacons, they go for the sausages, they go for all the other things, in there. And then they prepare what they call the British breakfast with it.
English breakfast.
I'm sorry. English breakfast. I said British.
The one I showed you.
They do the typical English breakfast with it. And then that is a sign of affluence or good living.
Yes.
But that is also detrimental to the health.
Exactly.
And so if you realize that somebody gets up in the morning, take some fizzy drink. Because, life is on the go. We are all, living in a fast world right now. So take some fizzy drink plus biscuits. Then in the afternoon goes for, some corned beef or some bacon and some sausages and blah, blah, blah. You and I also know that on a regular basis for so many people, when they close from work, they'll sit down at a joint somewhere and take a lot of sausages plus a lot of beer and, stout. How dangerous are these to our health? And what health conditions are they presenting with?
Very, very dangerous. It cannot be overestimated. So clearly it is established that high intake of the ultra-processed food and the processed food leads to cardiovascular diseases.
That is heart diseases.
Heart diseases, diabetes.
What type of diabetes?
Basically
Typically
type
type
2 diabetes, typically. And many cancers as well. Basically, we put all of them under chronic non-communicable diseases.
Okay.
They are chronic because they developed over a long period of time. They are degenerative, they destroy the organs, and you can't cure. You have to live with them once you have them. And this is what is very...
Forgive me, when you said... So let's say somebody starts ingesting them, and unfortunately for us, in this day and age, we have children taking these fizzy drinks, being fed with these bacons and the canned beefs and the sausages and all that. You say they are foods that haven't eaten for a long time,